Hi, this is Dr. Darleen Claire Wodzenski, and I'm here today to talk about sensory stacking. What's that? Well, we work with a lot of individuals who have learning disabilities. They might have had a traumatic brain injury, and even working with older folks who may be suffering with some sort of memory impairment or dementia. We do this really cool thing called sensory stacking. We put people in a situation where they are exciting many different sensory pathways all at the same time. And when we do that, we wind up lighting up the brain. And multiple brain pathways and multiple brain centers are working together while the individual is learning about or focusing on a particular thing. And when that happens, we wind up having complex systems of neurons in the brain firing together and wiring together. So let's say we have an individual who has an auditory processing disorder. They are not able to make sense out of what they hear. They might hear the noise, but it takes them a little time to figure out the meaning of the words that they heard. So what do? We'll have them engage in dialogue where they're having to listen and respond. But we'll do it while they're standing on one foot, maybe hopping up and down. They may have on a little bit of aromatherapy. They may be chewing on a piece of spicy gum. We may have their head tilted to one side, and then we may have them moving their fingers back and forth, touching their nose. So imagine this, standing on one foot, hopping up and down, head tilted to one side. There's a beautiful aromatherapy on, and then they're chewing a piece of gum, and they're going like this while they're engaging in conversation. I know it sounds crazy, but here's what happens. We can get people to do things with their brain that they weren't able to do. Maybe they were born without being able to do certain things, or maybe they had an injury or an illness. Maybe they had a high fever. Maybe they had a traumatic brain injury. But suddenly, we can get them to do things that they couldn't naturally do on their own. And we do this with sensory stacking and with motor and movement stacking. We also will get them involved in, as I said, maybe tilting their head to the side, moving their hands back and forth so that we're challenging their balance or vestibular function and their sense of where I am in space, which is their proprioceptive function. We challenge all of it all at the same time. It's funny, it's silly. We wind up laughing. And so we even bring humor into the process because it is so silly. Sometimes I try to demonstrate this stuff and then I wind up falling over. But whatever, it is really awesome. It's sensory stacking, motor stacking, vestibular stacking, and proprioceptive stacking. And by the time we get individuals engaged in all this complex, layered, stacked sensing, moving, and processing while they're attending to a task like math, reading, spelling, dialogue, processing what they hear, answering questions, engaging in social dialogue. The brain all of a sudden learns to do what it couldn't naturally do on its own. It's absolutely brilliant. So, sensory stacking and then motor, vestibular, and proprioceptive stacking. It is the way we actually turn on the human superpower of neuroplasticity.